Welcome to Ask Mike Anything. I'm Mike, and you get to ask me anything. Seriously, anything. So go ahead and type in the comment section wherever you're watching, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. I will get those questions and I will do my best to answer them. And while I'm waiting for folks to get in and put some questions in, I'm going to double check and make sure my audio is working properly through the internet. Let's just see here. Hey, look, there it's working. All right, now I'm done looking at the internet and I'm looking at you. So go ahead, type in your questions. Um, it can be stuff about me, it can be stuff about the world, it can be stuff about stuff you're going through. Whatever. You can ask me a question and I will do my best to answer it. And this is the part where we wait. No, while we're waiting, I will do a one of my interview cards. This is from the Would You Rather deck. Would you rather eat peanut butter and jelly or grilled cheese sandwiches every day? Like if I had to, um, I would probably go grilled cheese, simply because I think the variety of cheeses and breads that could be made into a grilled cheese surpass really the peanut butter and jelly. That's kind of where I go with that. You can tell me I'm wrong, but for me, I'm right. So, all right. I am very glad Sarah Volmer says that DeAndre agrees that grilled cheese is the better way to go than the peanut butter and jelly. It's not that I don't like peanut butter and jelly. It's like if I had no choice, it would be the grilled cheese. All right. Debbie wants to know what my favorite Christmas cookie is. That is a dangerous question. I tend to like the my mom makes peanut butter drop cookies that have like little Hershey's Kisses in them. I like those. Um, she also makes a no bake chocolate oatmeal cookie that I like a lot that I won't say the name of. Um, yeah, but yeah, pretty much you had me at cookie. Um, all right. Robert asks, what season do you think Christmas originally occurred in? I have read some things that it may not have been December. Those things would have been correct. The aligning of the Christian celebration of the birth of Christ when Christianity became the religion of the Roman Empire, kind of got shifted to align with some of their faith and practices. Um, Usually, and there's really no way of knowing, but kind of sort of put midsummer August somewhere in there, usually uh, as a good guess of when it might have actually been. Um, but you gotta agree that having a celebration like Christmas to look forward to when you're in a climate like ours that is experiencing all four seasons, and winter can be deep and dark and difficult. Um, it's good to have that to look forward to. It's favorite Christmas memory from when I was young and as an adult. I would probably say when I was a kid. When I was a kid, my mom did some babysitting for a friend of hers. As far as I know, just kind of a helping out kind of thing. And the young man's name was Josh Vandenberg, and he just was always around and a friend to play with. And I remember he would run around the house so We would call it hyper back then, but just very energetic young man. And I remember him running and forgetting where he was at one point, or not really paying attention. And he ran face first into the Christmas tree. And this was a live tree, a giant live tree. I think we had 10-foot ceilings in that dining room, or whatever it was. But it was the funniest dang thing I ever saw. And years later, when the Will Ferrell movie Elf uh, came out, and he runs and like springboards off the couch and into the tree to try and put the star on top. Oh, that was so Josh. That was so Josh. I love that. My favorite memory as an adult, probably any of the Christmases with my kids. Um, just having, uh, knowing how special that is for them. Of course, I'm talking about the secular party kind of celebration of it, and the presents and things. But um, as far as uh, sacred memories of those go, when I was a kid, I loved being an altar boy at uh, midnight mass at the Catholic Church. That was always really really special. Um, and one of the things I enjoy, and I'm probably gonna miss a lot this year, is also like the late service. Um, St. Matthew's had an 11 o'clock. That at midnight we were singing Silent Night, and it was very nice, very peaceful. I like that a lot. Uh, do I have a special Christmas tradition? Will it change because of the virus? Honestly, I think what I'm looking forward to most is maybe starting a new tradition, that probably uh, won't get much more than this year at it, I guess. But because we're not worshiping in person on Christmas Eve, everything we're doing, Bree and I, for our respective congregations, is pre-recorded, and so we're not doing 5 Christmas Eve services. Um, we're going to be able to spend Christmas Eve with our family, and I'm very much looking forward to Christmas Eve, sitting down with hot cocoa with the girls and introducing them to the greatest Christmas movie of all time, which is Die Hard. So no, I'm not gonna watch Die Hard with them. But anyway, but just being able to be with them on Christmas Eve, Christmas, uh, for a pastor's family, especially a pastor's family that has 2 pastors in it, um, is very much the busiest night of the year, because we are all over the place. Um, I think last year Bree had a 3 o'clock, a 5 o'clock, a 7 o'clock. I had a 5 o'clock, a 7 o'clock, and an 11. And or maybe she had a 3. I don't know. Um, there were a lot of services. There are a lot of services on Christmas Eve, and that meant the kids go one way, I go another, Bree goes one way, the kid. It's just so um, frantic. Um, I mean, it's important and it's wonderful and it's lovely, but it's also frantic. And this is going to be the first Christmas I can remember with our kids that we're not jumping around between churches and trying to piece things in and make things work. We're gonna be able to be together as a family, um, and maybe try on some new Christmas Eve things that we haven't been able to do before. Um, so that's what I'm really looking forward to. As far, yeah, my Christmas Eve tradition, pops, has very much been that frantic pace, um, and yes, it is changing because of the virus. Um, Uh, I know you're joking, but I know a guy. Um, just saying, if you really want some, let me know. Um, yeah. Oh, what other questions we got, folks? All right, we'll go to another card while we wait. Um, let's see. Oh, this is a good one. I don't know why this is on the What the Heck deck, but it says, "Do you have a favorite T-shirt? If so, what's on it, and what does it say?" Um, favorite. Well, I used to have a Marvel T-shirt. I don't have it anymore. That I would say I wore more than any other T-shirt, only because a couple of years ago, Braylee or Michaela had to do a picture of their family in school, and part of that T-shirt, it had the big red marble across the top, and uh, Braylee or Michaela or whoever did it, all they had to represent Dad was the dad shape, and then Marvel across the top. Um, yeah, it's hard to pick. Usually, my newest one is my most favorite, um, and that yeah. So right now, my newest one, I forget what my newest T-shirt is. That's really sad. But I like my Calm Down Habibi. Um, for those of you that don't know, Habibi is a term of endearment between friends in Arabic. And when we were um, let's see, in 2017, when we were in the Holy Land and uh, went through Egypt, the I heard Habibi a lot, and I was like, "What is this?" And found out it means it's dearest, kind of thing. But Habibi is typically um, between men, term of endearment, um, and so I began using that with my Arabic speaking friends, and I like the shirt. Calm down, Habibi. Sarah Volmer wants to know what's in the cup. That is not milk. That is eggnog with bourbon. It is that season. I don't, you know, really go for eggnog in the non Advent Christmassy season. Um, so yeah, so that's what I got right now. My dad wants to know if you get a stain in a great T-shirt that won't come out, do you still wear it just in the house or outside too? Um, so so here's the thing. I hate stains on my clothes. Like I can deal with it on my pants, but on my shirts, I cannot handle it. Um, so typically, if I get a stain on a shirt that won't come out, it winds up being pajamas for Bree, or you know, Grandma Kathy wears it around the house when she's doing whatever she's doing. Um, yeah, I like even if I know I'm not leaving the house, I have a hard time wearing it. It bugs me a whole lot. Probably kind of like your aversion to grease on your hands, Dad. Um, the same kind of thing. I can't deal with it. Um, yeah, good question. The, the piece of that is if I really love the shirt and I guess Dana, I might get it. I might get a new one. Um, it doesn't happen often, but yeah, Bree doesn't like that at all. What's my biggest pet peeve? My biggest pet peeve right now is my oldest daughter sneaking closer and closer into the room to hear what's going on. Yeah, no. Uh, Honestly, the biggest pet peeve right now is Braylee likes to manipulate with her tears, and I have a hard time. Um, I have a hard time resisting that, and so it really irks me. Because then there are times you can't tell the difference between when a kid is really crying and really sad and really upset, or just trying to manipulate. And I hate the manipulation. My other biggest pet peeve um, is yeah, just my other biggest pet peeve is probably the folks who have the attitude of not taking the pandemic seriously. Um, Part of the reason we're still dealing with this, and it's not the only reason, but part of the reason is because people aren't taking it seriously. Um, the the difficulty, I had a friend post today. They've been very careful of masking and not going places unless they have to, and yet they still got it. Well, they still got it because there are people who aren't masking and who are going places they shouldn't go and doing things they shouldn't do to protect other people. That irks me quite a bit because uh, we have uh, really locked ourselves down. A lot of people have, making that sacrifice for others, and others aren't doing the same, and that's really sad. Um, all right, what is my favorite Disney ride? Um, it's at the Animal Kingdom. It's I forget the name of it. Um, but it's supposed to be like Mount Everest or something. Michaela, do you remember the name of that roller coaster?
It's like Escape from Mount Everest.
No,
Expedition Everest.
Expedition Everest. That's it. That's a great roller coaster. Lots of fun, and I very much miss it. Another good question, Pops. What is my most memorable moment from my trips to the Holy Land? There are a lot. It is for somebody like me who has spent the majority of their adult life studying and preaching the scriptures to be there to see the things in real life is just fantastic. Um, to see the blending of the ancient world and the modern world is just amazing. So my first trip, the 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 greatest experience was actually at the Western Wall, um, which is not even really like a Christian site. Um, it's in the Jewish section of the old city, right at the Temple Mount. It's essentially the wall of the Second Temple, and it's a small section. It's not enormous, but this is where people who don't understand will call it the Wailing Wall, because when you see videos of people praying there, it may look like they're weeping, and some maybe. I know I did, but it's not. It's the Western Wall, um, and people will write their prayers on little pieces of paper and stick it in the little cracks. Uh, and here's the thing: is the reason this place is so special is for me, number one, it is a part of the old city where you can walk up and touch it. That was there, exposed, living, a part of the city when Jesus walked in that city, when Jesus went to that temple. So there's that powerful aspect of it too. There's the aspect too that this is the wall that the part of the old city that is closest to where the Holy of Holies was on the Temple Mount. Um, and so there's this deep connection to history. There's this deep connection to the divine. And when I was there, I went up to pray, and I drew a blank. I couldn't think. I had prayers written down on a piece of paper, but I couldn't think. I couldn't make words come out of my mouth. And so I opened up my Bible and I started reading, praying through my favorite psalm. And within seconds, I was in tears and the prayers were flowing. And it was just amazing. What made it even more so was the day before, 2 days before, a friend of mine, we were standing on the top of Armageddon, and he told me that when he had come a few years earlier, it was while Bree and I and our whole family were dealing with Carl having cancer, being in treatment, and close to death. And he told me that his prayer that he left in the Wailing Wall was for Carl, was for us. And I think that primed the pump for a few days later for that being such a big deal. But then the funny thing that happened is I'm backing away, like my prayers were prayers that I had collected from people in my congregations to leave there. And I stuck it in and I took a picture of it up close, and then I was backing up to try and take a wider shot of the whole area where I had put the notes, the prayers. And all of a sudden, this little red-headed Jewish boy runs up to where I was, grabs the note out of the wall, unwraps it, and like runs away. And he's reading it, and I'm like, "What do I do with that? Do I make an international incident out of this?" They clean them out eventually, right? They do that on a regular basis, but like I let it go. It's just one of those funny things. And then the next time I went, discovering that our tour guide from the year before and our tour guide that year, and I wound up having the same tattoo in the same spot on our arms, but we got it 20 years, or he got his 20 years before I was born. It was pretty amazing. Favorite place to vacation in the U.S. and why? I haven't really vacationed a lot of places in the U.S. Typically for us, it's been Florida, for Orlando. But last February, just before everything hit the fan, Bree and I went to Miami for a week. I was her designated driver. It was a decompress week for her, and I was really just there to drive. But it was amazing, even in February, to sit on the beach, to read a book that had nothing to do with church. It was really a good time. Florida's, Florida's not a bad place sometimes. Leslie, let's see. If you could hang out with anyone in the Bible besides Jesus or God for a day, who would it be? I think Elijah would be a lot of fun. Or maybe not fun, but just interesting. I like to think Paul and I might have some interesting conversations, and probably Joseph, Old Testament Joseph, would be a good one. Abraham, all of them. Could I just say all of them, or just one? If I could just hang out with one, that'd be tough. Man, yeah, I stick with Paul, Abraham, somewhere in there. Paul primarily because I think he could set some things straight that people get confused with him, including myself. And I like the idea of Abraham simply because it's just such a rich story, and to this is the thing. Um, so the first time we went to the Holy Land, I took pictures of every site we went to, everything, every stone with an inscription. I just was so focused on these monuments and these monasteries and all of these things. I was so focused on those things, um, and people were really on the periphery. Uh, the second time, I took a lot fewer pictures of the places, and spent a whole lot more time talking to people, engaging with people, um, because it is even in the modern time, it is a very different culture, a very different way of understanding and viewing the world, and I think all of us need more of that. And I have a feeling, honestly, that if I got to go hang out for Paul with a day, or if I got to go hang out with Abraham for a day, and we could actually speak the same language, I have a feeling it would be very much the same as going to another country, um, and having a conversation with somebody from a different culture who views the world in a different way, um, and who probably can't fathom uh, the ways and whys of why I think the way I do. But having those conversations is how we learn, how we grow, how we have a end up with a worldview that is actually a worldview, um, that isn't just about uh, that isn't American centric, right? So I remember there was a movie, I can't remember what it was. It was some political movie, um, and one of the candidates, um, at the end of his speech, would say, "God bless America and no place else." And this was years and years ago when I saw it, um, and even then, I thought that is a ridiculous way to view the world. Um, we, as humanity, need to view the world as one collective thing, um, because what happens one place has effects other places. Um, think about all the fear on the west coast of the United States when Fukushima melted down, because what happens across the ocean has effects that are far-reaching. And if we don't work to understand each other, we're just going to continue to be at war until we destroy ourselves. Um, I don't know how I got there on your question, Leslie, but thank you for it. Dad says holidays are normally happy times when families gather. This holiday season will not be the same for many people. Any tips on how to stay upbeat? You're probably not going to like this answer, but that's okay. Uh, it is very much okay to not be upbeat. Um, you don't need to put on a face, put on a act to try and manufacture what those feelings were from last year. This is the thing this year. As I read the Christmas story, as we put together Advent and Christmas services, and as we are reading through these stories, do you know what I find? Um, they're not the happiest of stories. Sure, the baby shows up in the end, and that's the important piece, right? But think about, and here I'm probably getting into a little bit of Sunday sermon, so I'm gonna try and be careful. But I mean, think about for a second the world that Jesus was born into. Israel wasn't a free nation; they were occupied. They were oppressed. They were they were living under foreign rule. A lot of, and I talked about this on Sunday. A lot of what Israel experienced in exile, a lot of what we're experiencing now in our own form of exile, is very, very similar to what Jesus and Mary and Joseph were all, what Jesus was born into, and what Mary and Joseph went through to bring him into this world. Um, he was born in a world where there was no room. There was no room for him in the inn. He was born into a world where the rich king of the region, King Herod, was so threatened that he sought to kill a baby. It's it's very important to realize that this time that we feel this sorrow, this time that we feel this disconnection, this time that we feel confined, is probably as close as we're going to get in our lives to understanding even a little bit of what it was like in that first Christmas. You know, we set out the nativity scene and it's all nice, right? We create this romanticized version of what things were, but it was messy. It was bloody. It was full of sorrow and grief. And those things are okay. They're a part of the human experience. They're a way in which we can connect with God. And so I don't think you need to y- you don't need to stay upbeat. I mean, there are things you can do. You can, keep the Christmas music going and keep the lights on and have the Zoom conversations and do all sorts of things to connect with people. And that's important. But it's also important to feel the grief, feel the sorrow, feel the mourning, feel the exile. Because it's in those experiences too where we meet Christ. Not just in the joyful, joyful, we adore these. It's also in the bleak midwinter. It's also in the stillness and in the sorrow. So yeah. Uh, do you think Noah allowed woodpeckers, beavers, and termites on the ark? I don't think Noah allowed anything. Um, if there were boarding passes, God was handing those out. You guys want to see a magic trick? Oh, kid. All right, I'll go to another card while you're thinking up some more, folks. What is your most treasured possession? Hmm. You know what? I don't tend to treasure things, um, but on occasion, uh, there are things that stand out more than others. I'm actually going to show you this one because it's right over here. But just hang on a second. You got to move, kiddo, because I got to get through it. So in 2017, when we went to Israel and Egypt, when we got to Egypt, we spent our first night at the foot of Mount Sinai, and I got to meet a Bedouin man named Saeed. And this is the guy, some of you have heard the story. We go to the Bedouin tent for tea and dancing and things like that. And I have some tea and everybody's leaving. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to bed too. And he's like, no, stay. And so I stay. He's like, have you ever had Bedouin coffee? And I said, no. And he says, well, let me make you some. And I said, no, I gotta sleep. We're Mount Sinai in the morning. It's gonna be big. And he says, oh, no. Bedouin coffee helps you sleep. That was the only lie he ever told me. Bedouin coffee helps you sleep. It does not help you sleep. So I drink coffee and we're talking and we're having a great time. And finally I decide, okay, I got to go to bed. And so I go and I wake up the next morning and the coffee in the cafeteria at this retreat center was horrible. And I knew we had a long trip ahead of us that day, and I needed some coffee. And so I went to see if maybe Saeed would fill up my Starbucks mug. And I was like, oh, sure. And he, goes to making the coffee. And we're talking, and of course he fills it up and it's great. And we're talking, and I'm just telling him how much I appreciate, his hospitality. And I give him, I had those little silicone bracelets that say God loves you and there's nothing anyone can do about it. And I said, I'm going to give you this just to remember. And like, he was so touched by that. Like, they had a little shop on the end of their tent, and he grabbed some handmade Bedouin jewelry. And he's like, here, I want you to have this much. I'm like, oh, you don't have to, but I appreciate it. Okay. And then we're getting ready to leave. And, he had done this whole "we're brothers now" thing. And I said, oh, it's so great. And before I left, he's like, no, wait. And he reaches up off the wall this is his home, right? That he invites people into. He reaches up and he takes this hand-woven Bedouin tapestry down, and he gives it to me, and he said, "just to remember." And I absolutely I love this little piece of fabric so much. We got back, and it was one of the first things I took out of my bag, and I put it in our curio cabinet by all our other, precious memory things. And at some point, it fell down behind there, and I couldn't, like, when the jet lag finally wore off, I couldn't find it. It had disappeared. I was so upset. I thought, did it fall out in Cairo? Where? And it was better than a year after I realized it was gone. Maybe 2 years, somewhere in there. Bree goes through and she's adjusting things, and she finds it. Yeah, it's not so much the fabric, but it's that memory of that time, that place. Because if I could go, if there was no COVID, if I didn't have responsibilities or things to worry about for a month, and I could go and hang out with Saeed and his family in that community, as a time of retreat, as a time of rejuvenation, I would totally do that in a heartbeat. So, all right. Out of all Santa's reindeer, who is your favorite? Rudolph, of course. Bright, shiny nose is a good way to go. Yeah, and he's the only one I know of with stop animation Christmas special. All right. While I'm waiting for more, I'll go to the next card. What's the most awkward thing that happens to you on a regular basis? Well, these days, And Michaela, since you're sitting here, you're gonna get it. The most awkward thing that happens to me these days. So there are 5 people that live in this house. Only one of them is male, and that's okay. I have this is yeah, no worries. It's fine. Um, but we'll sit down to dinner, and it's usually hard for me to get a word in edgewise. Fine again. Okay, okay. But every once in a while, the women in my house, all of them, including the youngest, for whom this does not apply yet, decide this is going to be the night we're going to talk about women's undergarments. I don't know if you can hear. Michaela's rolling on the floor laughing because they find it funny. Yeah. So yeah, that's the awkward thing. All right. Debbie asked, "Did you ever sneak a look at your presents before Christmas?" Oh my gosh, Debbie, I was the worst. I was the worst at snooping for Christmas presents. There was a year I was probably Braylee's age. Christmas presents had been purchased, wrapped, and in my parents' closet. Yeah, see, there's my dad's answer. And I was excited when I stumbled upon this treasure trove of presents. And I remember like trying to be really sneaky and just like peeling back a little bit of the wrapper to look in. And then it tore a little too much. I'm like, oh, I might as well open it now. And like all the presents that had been wrapped, I unwrapped and was playing with, and my mom came in and found me. And I'm pretty sure she just wrapped them back up because I was 6 and would have forgotten about it in a day anyway. Do I do that now? No, I do not snoop at presents. What it has translated to for me is I am the worst at waiting to give people presents. So Bree knows I have not bought her Christmas present yet. The reason she knows is because I have not offered to give it to her yet. So when I buy a Christmas present, even if it's at the beginning of November, I'm like, "Hey, do you want to open your Christmas present?" Because I love seeing people open their gifts, and I hate waiting to see people open their gifts. These days, I don't care really what's under the tree or what presents I get. It is seeing other people open theirs that I love, and so it gets very, very difficult, especially when there are presents for people in my home that I could give to them. Yeah, that's a tough piece for me. All right, other questions, Michaela? Since you're down here, do you have any questions?
Braylee apparently wants tips on a present sneaking thing. She thinks that Grandma's hiding the presents in her room.
No tips.
Would you give them to her? Okay, good.
That's it?
What did it feel like to get slapped with a red one on your knee?
Go away. My children, they laugh at my pain. That's what settles that's what passes for humor.
At least tell about it.
Michaela, we told about that a long time ago. Hey, there's a great question. Is anyone caroling this year? I don't think so. It probably theoretically would be okay if it was only the members of a household that went and they stood back, rang the doorbell and stood back 6-10 feet and then tried to sing. But I don't know how well that would be received. So one of the things that I'm working on is called the Christmas Carol Project, which is just a fancy name I gave it. It really just means I'm asking people to go and record themselves singing a Christmas carol, their family or individually, their favorite Christmas carol, email it to me, and then they're going to pop up on occasion throughout this time, kind of like this one.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Isn't that nice when I have it all queued up like that? We have the benefit of a green screen and the technology to do stuff like that. But if you watch Sunday worship all the way through to the bitter end, there was a Easter egg, which I just get a kick out of doing an Easter egg for an Advent thing. I just find that very funny in my head. There's an Easter egg of our bishop for the Michigan area, Bishop Bard, and his spouse singing "O Come All Ye Faithful." It tickles me that he agreed to do that for us in the midst of everything that he's dealing with, that we're all dealing with. They took that time out to do that, and I love that. So yeah, that's what we're doing for caroling this year, at least through my congregations and the people that watch online. We have some very nice ones that have come in. Anything from Jingle Bells. I got a friend right now who is working on. She plays guitar. She's working on a Stevie Wonder Christmas cover that she's going to let us use. I have another friend who is a phenomenal vocalist who submitted some. So I have several. I would love more. Honestly, I would love to be able to do one every day, Monday through Thursday on Fun with Faith. I'd love to be able to do one, or drop one every day of the month. But I don't have that many at this point. I suppose I could finagle my kids into singing a bunch of them, but I'm hoping for more more people in the community getting into it. Am I going to read from my journal tonight? My dad asked. Of course I am. Of course I am. I have it right here. Oh, this was the juicy one. And this one got a page all its own. I didn't fill the page, but I want you to see, like, it got written and then scribbled out, and yeah, I'm trying to read the one. All right, so okay, this is really like bearing my 10-year-old soul, y'all. I just want you to get this and understand this is a big jump. So the last one was Tuesday, April 25th, 1989. We jump in the turn of a page to Wednesday, July 14th, 1989. So, Dad, I did not write it every day as I was supposed to. I had a good run there, though. So this is Wednesday, July, maybe 19th, 1989. I fell in love with Tracy Anderson. P.S. She loves me too. P.S.S. The P.S. is wrong. oh, Michaela. Honestly, I'm having a hard time remembering who Tracy Anderson was. I obviously had no idea how to spell her name. It is spelled Traciecy. Tracy. Yeah. Anyway, then we jump to July 25th, 1989, which was a Tuesday, by the way. And I remember this really well because after this happened, my dad looked at me and he's like, this would be a good thing to write in your journal. So Tuesday, July 25th, 1989, I got to shake hands with Governor Tommy Thompson, and I caught a panfish. My brother Brad bumped into Governor James Blanchard. So exciting stuff on Tuesday, July 25th. Wednesday, July 26th, 1989. I made a rocket out of wood at the Boys and Girls Club. I do not think it flew. Saturday, August. See how we're jumping here, right? We go from July 25th. Now we're at August 5th, 1989. This was another one of those dads like, you could write about this in your journal, right? Saturday, August 5th, 1989. I do that to you, don't I? I do that to you, don't I? Where I'm like, oh, you could write about this in your journal. And you never do. Saturday, August 5th, 1989. I rode on a stagecoach on top and inside. And and I blew a big hole in my underwear.
Wait, is it?
Do you guys lose respect for me the more you find out about 10-year-old me? Take a guess. Take a guess, Michaela, at how that happened. All right. That's enough journal for tonight. Yeah, well, I'm not the one that farted on live stream, Miss Michaela.
Sorry.
All right. Lynn, I hope you're doing okay. Lynn wants to know what my favorite band was back in the 90s. Ooh. I don't even know if I can remember the 90s. I mean, Green Day. Green Day was a big deal. AC/DC, Metallica. Those kinds of bands were usually my jam. In fact, I don't know why, but I had a pretty hard Green Day run last week, where I listened to a lot of Green Day, but. All right. Any other questions? We're coming up on the hour. I am through my cards. I'm through the journal, at least as far as we're going to go for right now. See, because here's the thing: once we get past my 10 and 11-year-old journal, then we get into like the stuff where I should have known better. And that's going to be interesting. I may scrap the journal at that point, honestly. Michaela has a question. Okay.
What are you most hoping for Christmas?
Well-behaved children.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen.
Thank you. I know. That's why it's a hope. It's a hope. It's not a fact.
I was talking about Braley, not me.
All right. All right. I'm not seeing any questions coming up. Excuse me. That is A-okay. I do want to remind you, Monday through Thursday, we have Fun with Faith at 10 a.m. It's Pastor Bree and I. We are looking at the Advent devotional called Lo by John Pavlovitz. We had a great discussion on it today, and we'll continue to do that throughout the week. Want to encourage you to send in your Christmas carols. You can send those in to my email, revmikeumc@gmail.com. I appreciate that. And that's it, y'all. Have a great night. Be blessed. Stay safe. Wear a mask. Wash your hands. All those things. And know that God loves you, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Peace, y'all.